Welcome back to Dreams of the Nameless, where trees could save us from global warming. Iran has passed the enriched uranium limit, and ICE is using photos from people's IDs for their face recognition software in this dystopian moment.
Quickly on the essential details.
Rapid
Scientific
fire.
American, yeah, rapid fire. Scientific American came out with an article where basically they outlined that if we just expand our current forests into lands that aren't already being used for agriculture and urban development and so on, if we cover enough of that empty land, we could literally plant enough trees to halt global warming over the next 50 to 100 years. So I found that to be particularly positive news, even if the timeline is kind of shit. Um, that means that like we've found another means by which we can combat this. Now we just have to get out there and do it.
Well, and,
Another,
and what that tells you is, I think a lot of trees take 17 to 25 years or something to mature, and so basically you have two. Supposedly shit's gonna get real bad at 2034 or something like that. They're anywhere from like 12 to 14, 15 years was when they were saying the big problems are going to start. I mean, that's if we start planting today, obviously we couldn't have the forests all the way up by then necessarily, but there's positive timescale overlaps there where if we act quickly, we could start to see some of the benefits of that maybe in time to actually have it be a benefit to reducing the overall problem. And I guess my thought was in combination with some of the new advancements in the carbon grabbers, the air cleaner things that they were developing, they reduced the cost on those. I know we saw a story a while back about a new way that they were developing to do desalination for water. There's been a few of those things where there does seem to be shaping up some kind of a technological response to global warming, but I'm still really skeptical as to whether or not we're going to be able to actually implement any of these things. It's even talking about it's just land around places that are currently forested to begin with. Even so, it's probably still logistically an astronomical multi-trillion-dollar operation that would have to take place. Yeah.
yeah, I didn't see anything in the article about the cost. For me, the really interesting part is they developed a map of, they literally are advertising this as like, we now know where to plant the trees. So like now we just need to plant them. So they're going to put out an interactive, publicly available map that you can zoom into your local area and see, hey, trees need to be planted here. I don't know if then we just need to have like giant public, vigilante tree planting parties.
I was just going to say I advocate vigilante planting. I don't. There's a cooler term for it. I can't remember off the top of my head.
I don't know, like ninja treeing or something. Like I don't know. We can come up with something cool if one doesn't exist, but this
Johnny
app
Appleseed would have been a comrade.
Yeah,
for sure.
there's an app that's gonna, or not an app rather, but a map that is gonna be interactive that'll show you where to do it. So I thought that was pretty positive, and I look forward to it. Iran, on the other hand, moving on, they've stated now that their deadline that they established has passed, and they are going to increase the amount of uranium that they produce. It's not totally clear if they've actually already exceeded that limit. I know the previous articles had said that they were in the process of producing it, and they thought they were going to pass that limit. Now it's just they're saying, like, this article says dangerous path, Iran breaches uranium enrichment level. But most of the things that I read about it, they just said that they're actually going past it. I don't know if they were actually providing any proof or anything showing that they did. The key number was 3.67%. If you enrich uranium beyond that magic number, so that whatever material you end up with has more than 3.67% uranium in it, they are claiming that's weaponized quality uranium. And that's another benchmark that Iran has exceeded, and they said they're starting to enrich up to 5%, but they're still far below the 90% number that weapons scientists say is weapons grade. So they're not there yet.
Isn't the issue that the difficulty going from the low percentage is like 2, 3, 4%, and the jump up to 20% and higher is it's exponential, not linear. Or it's rather like it happens much faster. Once they can get it to a certain point, it's then a sort of a lost cause, like they're going to be able to enrich it further.
Yeah, I think so, because once you hit that breaking point, as far as I know, from then on, you're just using the same technology and the same process. You just have to do it more or better or something.
Exactly. That, or at least that's how I understood it. Let us know if we're wrong in the comments.
Yeah, I was gonna say I very well could be wrong about that. So
I don't know if among our subscribers, I don't know if we have any, nuclear physicists.
Yeah.
Jump in.
So yeah, otherwise, I mean, there wasn't really a whole lot of meat there, other than some,
Well, no, I mean it's not good news because obviously I'm sure the United States is going to have some bullheaded response with Trump at the wheel. So no, I don't have any super salient commentary to make on this. Just more bad news that we should just be aware of it. So if you're one of our viewers and you weren't aware of it, you are now. Expect more Iran news, and the march to war seems to be continuing.
So, on other news, the ICE, FBI, and probably other departments, so we'll see in the oncoming days, have been caught using license photos from state databases or what have you for facial recognition scans. I'm not even really sure what they're using them for. I didn't read a whole lot into this. It's not the first time I've read reports where they've suspected it. Here it seems like they've pretty much confirmed that they're doing it, that it's already happened. Like, it's not a suspicion anymore. They're just using these databases of photos that are already linked to your personal data to then link it to another database of computer systems that scan cameras and look for people. It's a bit Big Brother-esque. I think on the whole, normally I would probably say, I guess I don't care. I think for me, the big issue is not that, we're using facial recognition software. It's that they're going behind the backs of the State Department, behind the backs of, each individual's privacy, behind the back of your individual state's law, etc., and they're accessing these databases, possibly without anyone really knowing that it's happening, to use them for probably nefarious purposes.
Well, that's true, but it's also the case that there have been many reports and studies that indicate that these types of softwares they're notorious for being shit at identifying people of color as compared to regular just white people, and so they end up being inaccurate and therefore lead to additional racism and other problems.
And they're hilariously susceptible to simple alterations like modifying your facial hair or adding makeup.
Yeah, and the people who are doing this, who are going to have access to these software options that are notorious for exacerbating problems of racism and profiling, so on and so forth. This is being used by people who already have a terrible track record. They're already the enemy of these people. So yeah, this is an ugly, nasty, ucky news story. It's no good. We don't want them doing that. So this is another thing that if you have the ability, you should be resisting.
Yep. So just all around kind of dirty, nasty, bad. Not a whole lot of other meat there. We'll see where it goes from here, because I'm sure some investigations are going to be launched, and we'll hear more commentary about it in the future, or maybe it'll just get buried. I hope not, but we'll see. In other news, the other thing I wanted to talk about before I get to more of the fluff type things is Trump's 4th of July celebration fiasco.
Yeah. Let's touch on that at least just for a moment.
The long story short is, beforehand there was already a lot of criticism about it's going to cost too much, and it's just this overblown nationalistic me parade for Trump.
And has this been done before with tanks and?
They have had tanks in Washington, D.C. in some displays in the past, but it has never been done for the 4th of July as far as I could find. And usually any of the 4th of July celebrations that happen in Washington, D.C. are done through local government and local committee and such, not through the President of the United States throwing a giant, me party.
Right.
The other really funny, well, I shouldn't say funny, The other thing where I saw was on Twitter, there was this whole thread I read through where in the past, people could just gather on the National Mall and watch the fireworks. This year, they actually dropped fencing into the pool in front of the Lincoln Memorial to blockade off a section in front of the monument that people could not enter unless you had a ticket that you could only have been given by Trump. He was handing them out to supporters and known good GOP people that he likes, and so he handpicked this special crowd that got to go in, and that's where the tanks were. That's where all the show was
emulating Big Papa Putin.
Yep. The pictures, if you go look them up, they're kind of really dystopian, because not only is there already this overtone of like, I'm putting on this big military parade like a dictator, but then he closes it off from the public. And so there's these pictures of the National Memorial with multiple layers of chain link fencing actually in the pool. Like, they didn't stop it just blocking off the sidewalks. They strung it across the pool and then put Trump face stickers on the wire fences that said, "Make America Great Again." And it was just like super gross, nationalistic, disturbing imagery.
I'm disturbed.
I think they should have done what those old veterans did. They should have just knocked down the barriers and been like, no, this is a public monument. We're coming in. Because it's a public monument.
Trump continues to be an emulator of the worst type of piece of shit world leader.
Yep. And then to make matters worse, it rained. And the Air Force canceled some of the show, apparently, or they didn't. It was very confusing. But like, it was the worst possible weather to hold such an event. And you can see the videos where normally when he's giving the speech, I didn't realize like there was going to be bulletproof glass. And now it's super obvious that he's just in this like awkward cube of glass because all the rain is on it. And apparently that was one of the costs that people were complaining about, is this super thick, clear Lexan that he has to be standing behind to not get shot is expensive. And they had to set it up on a podium and all this and blah, blah, blah. And
is that standard, like everywhere he goes?
I don't know. I suspect in large venues where there's clear lines of sight, probably, because they're worried about snipers.
Well, right.
But I don't actually know. Because honestly, in video recordings of him, you wouldn't see it, except for when it's raining and now the glass is covered in water.
Wow.
So
well, yeah, just another example of why the Trump presidency is a joke and also incredibly dangerous. So those were the, top stories that we saw for the week. But look forward to the first episode of our new writing show, Through the Shadows, coming up on this Friday, as well as a week from this upcoming Wednesday will be the first episode of our book club. The book is The Poppy War. I don't know the author off the top of my head. Google The Poppy War. If I remember, I'll put something in the description below. But yeah, so check out those two new shows that are going to be coming up in the coming days, and please hit the subscribe button and leave us a comment, and click the like button as well while you're down there.